Welcome back to another episode of Real with Ryan. This is going to be a little bit different type of episode than normal. And I'm just going to kind of talk to you, talk to the camera, and share about my overall experience with the triathlon, kind of how training was, what I had to give up, what I went through, how I felt about the race, and then kind of what's going to be next for me. So I suppose I'll start at the beginning, and that would be the start of quarantine. So around the beginning of March, I began working from home, and at first, I guess let me say I was in shape. So kind of the back half of last year, I had started going to the gym, started lifting weights, and I really wanted to try to get strong. Kind of for the last 6 months of last year of 2019, and I had done a good job of lifting weights, going to the gym. I was eating a lot, and I wanted to gain weight and gain muscle for the first time, and was really pleased. By New Year time, I got up to 170 pounds. So from like March of last year until January or the end of 2019, I gained about 20 pounds, and most of it was muscle, but there was a lot of fat as well. I was just trying to eat and gain weight. But anyways, kind of going into the start of 2020, I didn't really have any like athletic or physical goals. I had gained that weight in muscle, and so then I was trying to lose some of the fat, still gain the muscle, and then quarantine started, and life just got really weird. And so I was working from home. I had a lot of time to myself, and I just so my gym closed. Luckily, I have a weight rack in the garage, and if you've seen the last few videos, you would have seen it. But I was just getting a little burnt out on weightlifting, and so I started kind of around a few weeks into quarantine, going on a few jogs. And I went to Rush Running, which is a local place here in Northwest Arkansas, to get running shoes. And they looked at my running stride, kind of recommended shoes that would work for me, and I got those. And I started going on jogs first. And one thing I noticed is that after the first few jogs I went on, I could barely run a mile. But I started to notice that like each time I would go on a jog, I was like getting better and better, and it was getting easier and easier and less painful. And I was like, like this is kind of cool. And I had never enjoyed cardio kind of in my life. I've always liked sports and being active, but running and cardio is never something I enjoyed. So as I started running and kind of enjoying it more, we were seeing COVID continue to kind of grow. It was like the end of March, January, March, April was starting to turn into April and getting close to May. And, I just kept on running, and, there's one particular day. It was like a cold day. It was raining. And I went for a jog kind of in the evening after work. I'd been working at home all day and went for a rainy, kind of cold evening jog. And on that particular day, I was just feeling so good. It was the first time I ever kind of had like a runner's high. And I ran like 7 miles, like very quickly. It was kind of incredible because even whenever I was doing triathlon training, I struggled to run 7 miles at the pace I did that one particular day. So, but after that, I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm going to be home a lot. I was like, I've been trying to like lose some of this fat that I have. I gained the muscle and strength that I wanted to from last year. But like, I feel like I want to like set a goal or just like have something tangible. And I thought about like a marathon, but I was like, you know what? I feel like I am not a huge runner, but I love mountain biking. I love to mountain bike. And I was like, I've always enjoyed swimming. And so I thought about like doing a triathlon. And it was just kind of like random. Essentially, nothing really inspired me at first, but I was like, you know what? Like, what if I like try to do a triathlon. And I thought about it. I was like, man, I feel like I would love to be able to kind of, selfishly say that like I have done a triathlon before. Um, and that it's just something that's really hard to do. I thought is kind of like impressive to do. It would give me like a really tangible goal to work for. And like I get bored of things easy, so I figured that the mix between running, biking, and swimming would be enough of a change up to keep me kind of motivated in doing it. And so, it really happened all of a sudden. I was just going on jogs one day and I came back in and I was like, I looked up the triathlon distances, and so I'd always thought triathlons were kind of like the Ironmans. So of course, I saw the Ironmans, and that's like 120 miles biking, a full marathon, 26 miles running, and then like 2.5 or 3 miles swimming. And I was like, that is absolutely insane. But then I looked up the different or distances of triathlons and saw actually the Olympic triathlon, which is the one I ended up doing. I saw that. I was like, man, it's only 6 miles running, like 24 miles biking, and just under a mile swimming. And I was like, individually, all of those distances actually seemed quite manageable. I was like, I had already gone on a kind of 6 mile or 7 mile run before. So I was like, that actually seems, doable. That seems reachable. And kind of upon that discovery, I really was just like, I have nothing else going on. We're in quarantine, social distancing is like big, so I won't be able to go to the gym. I was like, it will probably be good for me to, do something I can do on my own and, push myself in a way that I've never done it before. So really over the course of like a day of two, I just committed and said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this triathlon. And I had really no idea what I was getting myself into. But I went online and I looked up triathlons near me and found that there was this one September 6th called the Bentonville Tri-Fest Triathlon. And honestly, I just went and signed up. I paid the money, $150, which was a lot, but that kind of like committed me, and I just signed up for the triathlon, kind of not really knowing what to expect. And I think that was towards the end of May or so, or it's either the end of May or beginning of June. I kind of signed up and really committed to doing that. And so, then I'll talk a little bit about kind of how the training went. At first, I didn't really know what I was doing. I would just like, go on a jog one day and then kind of go and swim the next day and kind of go and on a little bike ride, and just for a week or two, or I guess it was just only a week, I was just kind of floundering around. And then I went and found a training program, and I just Googled a bunch of them, and there's so many that they want you to pay for it, but I was able to find one. It was for a 16-week training program to do Olympic triathlon. There was only 14 weeks up until the race, so I just chopped off the first 2 weeks and kind of modified it into a 14-week program. And then I really followed that all the way through. And if you've been following along, that is 6 workouts a week, with Monday being a rest day. And it alternates swim, bike, then run, swim, bike, run. And, I really just kind of committed and followed that program. And it's the first time in my life I've ever had like a legit program, a legit like goal and deadline and everything. And, the following of that program was really relieving. I want to say, at the beginning, it was relatively easy. I mean, the distances were kind of manageable. They were short. Like, they would push me, of course, and it was hot. But it was pretty manageable. And just kind of the fact that I was like, man, I started off a bad swimmer and started getting good at swimming, and, started off getting like struggling on the bike, but at first was really getting better. Same way with running, like felt like it was a struggle to jog, to finding my running form. And, the beginning kind of first third of training was really exciting, really fun. And, yeah, it was great. And I felt good. I feel like I had enough energy. But then, I wanted to say that as it kind of transitioned from the beginning, everything being new and exciting, and it got towards the middle of training, I want to say that is where things kind of really started to get a bit more difficult. And I think the biggest thing was the motivation. It was far enough into training to where it didn't feel new. I had done like probably 6 weeks of training before that. And so I was like, man, all right, week 7, week 8, week 9, week 10. That's kind of the only time of the training where, sometimes I would like miss a day, or I went to Florida, and the week before that and the week in Florida, I was like, I kind of missed training. I was still, doing things like drinking every once in a while, not a lot, but my kind of like health habits started to slip just a little bit. And so the middle was pretty hard for motivation wise. The workouts themselves were starting to kick my butt a little bit, but we're manageable. But the motivation to kind of keep doing the training and kind of push through definitely during the middle was a bit the hardest. But then, as I got towards the end, the last, let's say 4 weeks, the last month, pretty much the last month, and whenever I did that sprint triathlon, kind of a month before the race, and it absolutely kicked my butt. Like, I thought I was gonna die. I had thought that I was going to be able to do it really well, pretty easily, and it just murdered me. I did it in the middle of a hot day. I wasn't rested, but that really kind of sparked a fire under my butt to kind of push really hard and be really disciplined the last 4 weeks. And I want to talk a little bit about the last 4 weeks in more detail. Those last 4 weeks, I really did everything, and this is intense, and I know whenever I commit to something, I definitely like very much commit. As you saw from the last videos, I performed really well in the triathlon, beat my 3-hour goal. But those last 4 weeks, usually I have a lot of stuff going on. I have my work, I have other projects, I have YouTube, the podcast, other projects that are like kind of all I'm jumbling around, and I'll be focused on different things each day. But those last 4 weeks of training, man, every single day was prioritized around how am I going to do my workout? How am I going to set myself up for success during this workout? Feel good enough tomorrow to do another workout so I can ultimately, perform well in this triathlon. And so that means the last month, I really had to cut out all the like unhealthy activities that I was doing. So any sort of smoking, completely cut that out. Any sort of drinking, even if it was just like 1 beer or 1 sip of whiskey in the evening, like I had to cut that out. Like really start focusing on, am I getting enough sleep? Am I hydrating? Am I eating well enough? So this last month was just so intense with, really cutting out lots of distractions and lots of things that made it harder to do those workouts. And I will say, in the last 4 weeks, the workouts were all the most intense and longest they had been, like all the way up until then. So I will say, my energy level, at the beginning was really high. I felt like I had plenty of energy to spend on the workouts and go through my day. So in the middle of training, my energy level was moderately high. The workouts weren't completely draining me. They were definitely tough, but I had enough energy to do the workout, feel good, keep on going through my day. But I'll say the last 4 weeks, my energy level really was kind of the lowest it's been for a long time. And I think a handful of things go into that. I had cut out a lot of things that I liked, that made it hard. I am the type of person that likes to, have a beer every once in a while and would look forward to that after a day of work, and cut that out. And hanging out with friends and being social, it's good that I haven't done that because of COVID and social distancing, but I cut that out almost completely. I just feel like I didn't have the time or energy because I was training so much and so hard, to hang out with friends and be social. And so that probably took my energy down some. And then just the workouts themselves. Saturday mornings I was going on 2-hour bike rides, and it didn't matter what I felt like. I felt like I had to do that bike ride and had to train. And so that would take out a big chunk of energy and time out of my day. Sunday nights I had to go on an hour and 5-minute run, kind of no matter what. So, the workouts just got more and more intense and kind of were draining me of more energy. And yes, my fitness was as good as it's ever been. But the workouts just got more and more intense, and I felt like I just had less and less energy, and time to kind of be social and do things that I enjoy. So the last 4 weeks of training, it felt like a big sacrifice. Like every day I was sacrificing things I wanted to do or things I love to do, or, relationships with friends and family to, commit to doing the training. So it was intense. And I don't think everyone would have to do it in that intense type of way, but, I think too, for your first time doing a triathlon or a marathon or any sort of extreme athletic event, to perform as well as perhaps that I did, it does take a lot of sacrifices. Now I will say, I'm sure if I wanted to do it again, I don't feel like I would have to take so much sacrifice. I feel like I would be able to take it easier and feel confident with my abilities and already have some of that baseline kind of athleticism built up to where I didn't have to sacrifice so much, but definitely did. But that kind of end of training kind of struggle leads me up to the race. And the race, like if you saw my last video, it was amazing. The last week before the race was brutal. Getting up at 5 every morning, even though that's super early for me. Training and going to sleep at 8:30 at night, that was all super hard. But it led up to the race, me being energetic, me feeling ready, me being excited, me ready to take on this challenge. And I did. And while I was racing, I was honestly scared leading up to it that I wouldn't be able to finish the triathlon. I was honestly scared that I would have to make this video saying that I kind of failed doing the triathlon, that I had to kind of give up, or while I was running, I had to just start walking the rest of the race. But luckily, everything that I did and all the sacrifices that I made kind of led up to me having a great race, and I felt amazing. I felt like I had it under control. During the whole race, there was never a point in which I was wanting to give up. I felt good all the way up until the finish line. Obviously the last end of the running, was a struggle, but there was absolutely no way I would slow down if I had put in so much work leading up to those last 10 minutes of the race. So the race itself was amazing. Like I said, I beat my goal time. I got 2 hours, 59 minutes, 18 seconds, beat my goal of 3 hours, which I'm super, super proud of. I can't believe I actually did it. I thought that was going to be such a stretch, such a hard goal to hit that before the race, I said I would be happy to get 3 hours and 30 minutes if it came down to it, or even just finish the race. So I crushed it and it felt great. Now, I wanted to say that even though I did crush it, I killed my goal, I did the triathlon, I can now kind of forever say I'm a triathlete. To be honest, I will say that for me personally, I don't know if all of the training and all the sacrifice was kind of worth the payoff in the end for me. Now, I think for a lot of different people, because there's like 200 or so triathletes there, I think lots of people can enjoy this, and it is definitely worth it for them. But yeah, for me, it was amazing, and I'm very glad I did it, and I would do it again for the first time. And it's not to say that I won't ever do a triathlon again, because I might, but I'd say, you know, for any sort of goal you set or anything you want to accomplish, you know, it's not just about finishing the goal and accomplishing the goal, but it's about the journey. And for the training and everything, I've never been a huge fan of cardio. And you know, I did like that I could bike, swim, and run and kind of change it up. So it really wasn't like horrible, but it definitely was towards the end of the triathlon really kind of like wearing on me. And like I said, that last month of training was tough, really tough. Made a lot of sacrifices and felt not very energetic or not very motivated. And so that was a difficult thing to do. And, you know, the whole time I wasn't talking to friends as much as I probably should have. And, you know, I would want to go mountain biking or want to go play tennis or want to go play golf or do all these sort of other things that typically I just love so much, but I felt like I couldn't because I had to train. And so that might be something that's just kind of my problem. And you know, I'm not someone who loves a schedule. I love kind of going with the flow, doing whatever feels right in the moment. And so, you know, the very hyper scheduled 6-day workout week is something that, like, I think a lot of people would love that and love that discipline and love that plan and kind of game plan and action plan. But that's something that for me is kind of tough to work with. I'm not a huge fan of plans, and you scared me. Not a huge fan of, you know, plans and like really varying things, and one day mountain biking and one day swimming, one day playing tennis, one day lifting weights, one day boxing. Like, I love variety. So I thought the triathlon would provide that, and it kind of did, but towards the end it was a struggle for me for sure. And I will say that the payoff was really good. Crossing that finish line felt great. But if I look at kind of like all the benefit from crossing the finish line and how amazing that felt and how good it felt to accomplish that goal compared to all of the kind of struggles of the training, I'd say I would do it again. But yeah, it's something that I think other people kind of would enjoy more. If you're the type of person that really loves setting a goal and accomplishing it, having a game plan and very structured, or, you know, if you like cardio, it is definitely something that I think you'd be interested in. If you're like me, you love to play all sorts of types of sports, you love to, you know, do whatever feels right on any given day and vary it up, then, you know, something else might be kind of better suited for you. But let's see, I will say that now that it's over, I feel amazing. I'm as athletic as I've ever been, cardio-wise and in shape-wise. Now that I'm not killing myself training every day, I feel so energetic. I feel just great. So that is awesome. I'm starting to, you know, lift weights again and gonna get my muscle back. I lost pretty much all of my upper body muscle while I was training. But gonna lift weights again. And I did want to say that kind of next for me, one thing that I may or may not, you know, I might as well kind of document the process or progress of this, is I'm going to be learning to code. And I've coded a little bit in the past, but I got accepted to something called Launch Code. which is a nonprofit sponsored by the Walton Family Foundation to teach people how to do web development and coding. And that's a free course, and it's going to be, I think, 6 to 8 months long. So I got accepted into that. That starts in October. I've done a little bit of pre-work, but want to say that some of the next thing I'm doing, at least kind of mentally, is learning how to code, which I'm super excited for. Excited for another challenge, another opportunity to push myself and learn, stretch my comfort zone, and in a completely different way, a triathlon to coding. But for the time being, athletically, energetically, and kind of in a physical way, I'm just going to enjoy not having a schedule. Enjoy being able to connect with friends, go out and play games. We played board games this week, which was so fun. Be able to play tennis again, to go swim if I want to, go in mountain bike, go play spike ball, go play volleyball, play golf. Just, enjoy the freedom of being able to do whatever activity I want when I want to do it, because I don't have a kind of physical goal or plan set. So I'm going to do that for a while. I did want to say that probably the next kind of big athletic commitment that I think I'll make once it starts getting colder is I want to do some form of martial arts. And so really, and I don't know if I want to get all the way to a black belt at whatever it is I do, but I really have always been fascinated with martial arts. I've always enjoyed boxing, and I've got a boxing bag, a punching bag, and so I think I'm gonna try to, commit to doing martial arts. Maybe it's jiu-jitsu, Krav Maga, or boxing. I'll kind of just scope out the area, see what people have to offer, and whenever it's time to make that decision, I'll definitely bring you guys along the way. But I think that is kind of all of my thoughts around this triathlon, around the whole journey through it, kind of the trials, the struggles, the successes, and everything, and kind of what I plan on doing next. So, if you have any sort of questions, definitely leave a comment below, or, you can follow me on my Instagram. The link will be down in the description, but it is at im.the.ryan, and I don't have any long form videos like this. This is the YouTube is for, but if you want to see what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, kind of what I'm cooking, what I'm doing, how I'm goofing around and just living life, that Instagram's the best place for you to follow, and I would appreciate all the love and support there. But yeah, if you have anything to say, feel free to leave in a comment. But I encourage all of you who are watching and have listened this far to, set your own goal, set your own challenge, and push yourself and push your comfort zone. It doesn't have to be a triathlon. It doesn't have to be coding. It can be anything that you would want to do, or anything that you would want to learn or push yourself to do. And, I think life is all about kind of taking what you're comfortable with, pushing that a little bit, and expanding and breaking out into new horizons, and always just learning and improving and kind of pushing yourself. So if you have gotten this far, I appreciate it. Check out my website and other videos on the channel, but thank you so much, and thank you for keeping it real with Ryan.